model. Had it, produced it, made it, and so on. Which then was used as the basis for the creating of the cosmos. Therefore, the maker and the made can also stand as the maker to the primary model of creation. Now, that creation, that idea, which is the basic model upon which everything is generated or created, is the first creation. Clearly not a thing, it's a pure creation. That's sometimes called the logos, the basic plan, the basic rational principle. It's also called, therefore, the first Son of God, because that's the first thing created. Therefore, the Son of God comes from this model. Now, that means, you see, in that first triangle, when we put in place not the cosmos, but this first model, then we can say there's some very interesting activity which is going on. Because it's that kind of divine activity which brought about the very idea for the creation of the universe. And for all universes, and for continuous universes of all kinds and of all diversities. Clearly, if it's a model that stands away from the things created or made, therefore the interesting feature about this model is that all of these terms, we can say in the way in which they function, are not in time. They are eternal, and therefore eternity, since all of these are eternal, therefore there's a class of eternal things, which is the maker, demiurgos, right? The energy by which it is produced, and the model. These are all eternal. Therefore, it's a class, it fits into a class of eternity. Now, let's go down to the bottom. Things for a moment. No? Everything in the universe, in some way, can be said to be related to everything else in the universe. That is to say, you can take anything at all at random, and you can say you can relate it to, it can be described in some way as related to anything else in the universe. At least on one basis. It's either the same or different, and therefore any two things in the universe can be connected, since there must be something similar between them, even if they are just merely things, and that's the only thing they share and everything else is different. They still can be related, they still have some commonality in respect to sameness. That is, they're things. So everything in the universe, regardless of what it is, can be said to be in some way connected either by sameness or difference. Now this is a logical, of course, connection, but let's go further. Everything in the universe, since it belongs in the class of the sameness and difference of anything you are regarding or considering, then no matter how far away any two things may be, we are saying in some way they are connected. They can be said to be connected. Therefore we can say there is a network, there is a network, there's a network of the interconnection, the interrelationship, the interconnection between all things. which is to say that all things are governed by a certain number of laws and principles, and all things therefore are influenced by them, and nothing escapes these eternal laws, whether you want to regard them as the laws of physics or the philosophical principles. It doesn't make any difference. The point being that this is an argument that's going to start with the view that whatever you regard as a thing, in respect to its physical aspects, it can be all related and connected with one another. Now that complete connection of all things, everything totally connected into all things, is sustained by a certain kind of energy. A certain kind of energy is necessary in the universe that provides all of those connections. Because through it all, whatever a thing is, to the degree that it is in time, now this is always in time now, right? Insofar as it exists, it comes into time, passes out of time. That is to say, it comes into existence and it passes out of existence. Therefore, everything in this triangle of connection and connectors is not in eternity, it is in the aspect of time. Wow, wow, look here. Now we have an interesting thing here. Now we have all the things we can talk about in the realm of things connected. And obviously that energy that connects them, which then makes them all interrelated from a connector, is in time. But what a thing is that comes into existence, remember we said it comes into existence, therefore whatever you want to call its basic condition or substance is something that is generated. So in that class of things which are all connected, it is in the class of things called that participates in time, and it's all generated. Now we have a third triangle. Well, there's something about living things, and the class of living things to the degree that they have some kind of reason, they are not subject to an ironclad deterministic model, because man can decide on things. He can break out of patterns. This is all in the realm of fixed patterns. Fixed patterns that spring from our physical nature, or anything's physical nature. Once you then recognize, if you have the ability to recognize the patterns you're in, once you have the ability to recognize the patterns you're in, then you can decide whether you want to enact that pattern or continue it, because then you have the freedom to decide. Well, that's reason. That's all we mean at this point by reason. Therefore, in this class of things, they're also living things. To the degree, though, that they can be said to recognize their underlying pattern, to the degree that they recognize their underlying pattern, then they are no longer fixed by that. If they're no longer fixed by it, the possibility of them breaking through patterns exists. When we say a thing is bound by the pattern,